ndavhura maziso ndabhandafesa reality ndabata musoro ndakayapaya nhingaiti kuchikora ndakaenda tekiri ndakasenga ndava kuzvibvunza kuti chinha ichi pageto zvanzi matiri.
Zimbabweans, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Zimbabwe stands today at a defining constitutional moment. Since 10 February 2026, when Cabinet approved Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3, something deeply troubling has taken place in our country. No Zimbabwean, whether acting through civic organizations, political organizations, churches, labor bodies, student movements, or simply as individual citizens, has been allowed to congregate and debate this bill. Not in a hotel conference room, not in a town hall, not in private offices, not even under a tree. The police have effectively prevented citizens from exercising their entrenched constitutional rights to assemble and express themselves. Across the country, the ruling party ZANU-PF has been allowed free rein to travel, debating the same bill with its members, whilst other Zimbabweans are denied the opportunity to discuss it. The DCP, like other institutions, has been barred from holding meetings in Bulawayo and Harare. Only recently, we had scheduled a provincial constitutional advocacy meeting in Warren Park. That meeting too could not proceed. The police said ZANU-PF had booked the same venue. We have heard this before, many times. It has become part of the playbook of this regime. On the 4th of March 2026, I wrote to the Commissioner General of Police expressing concern over this matter and requesting an urgent meeting. I also wrote to the Speaker of Parliament and the President of the Senate, imploring them to ensure that state institutions facilitate public debate during this constitutionally mandated 90-day consultation period. To date, I have not been favored with the courtesy of a response by either the police or the presiding officers of Parliament. What has become apparent is that this amendment bill belongs only to one political party. Only that party is allowed to meet and debate it. The rest of us have effectively been stripped of our citizenship and its attended constitutional rights. The question that therefore arises is simple. What options remain for citizens when their constitutional rights and freedoms are denied? This question must be answered today or tomorrow, but answered nonetheless. As the DCP, we have also written to Cabinet, to each Cabinet member, and to members of Parliament, and to the Speaker, raising concerns about the intention to amend the Constitution without returning the question of term extensions to the people through a referendum. We have made the position clear. The Constitution belongs to the people. Parliament cannot appropriate the sovereignty of the people. However, the executive has publicly rejected this position. Both the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice have publicly stated that there will be no referendum. Our position therefore remains clear. Without a referendum, there will be no legitimacy. Furthermore, we restate that amendments contained in this bill outside the term extension provisions represent democratic regression. For that reason, we reject this bill in its entirety. Fellow Zimbabweans, there's another matter that must be confronted honestly in this national discussion. The attempt to amend the Constitution through Parliament is being advanced on the basis that the ruling party claims to possess a two-thirds majority. But the nation knows, and the world knows, that this majority is deeply contested. The current composition of Parliament is the product of a series of recalls that removed genuine representatives of the people through processes widely viewed as politically manipulated and enabled through the connivance of state institutions, including the office of the Speaker. Zimbabweans know this. Even children in kindergarten know this. The International Parliamentary Union knows this. The international community knows this. No self-respecting democracy can dismantle the representation of voters in the manner that has occurred in Zimbabwe and still pretend that Parliament reflects the authentic will of the electorate. The truth is simple. The ruling party does not possess a legitimate two-thirds majority in Parliament. And the Speaker knows this. You cannot first distort representation and then claim constitutional legitimacy for decisions taken by that distorted representation. A parliament whose composition is widely viewed as politically engineered cannot claim the moral authority to amend the supreme law of the land. For that reason, Parliament as currently constituted is not fit for the purpose of amending the Constitution. Where legitimacy is in question, sovereignty must return to its rightful home, the people of Zimbabwe. And the democratic mechanism through which the people exercise that sovereignty is clear: a national referendum. Fellow Zimbabweans, at the heart of this constitutional moment lies a simple democratic doctrine, the doctrine of periodic sovereignty. In a constitutional democracy, sovereignty does not permanently belong to those who hold office. It returns to the people at regular and predictable intervals through elections and referenda. That is why constitutions established fixed terms of office. When incumbents redesign those cycles in order to extend their stay in power, sovereignty ceases to be periodic. It becomes captive. The 2013 Constitution, adopted by Zimbabweans through referendum, was designed precisely to prevent that capture. Amendment Bill number 3 therefore represents not a technical adjustment but an attempt to interrupt the rhythm of democratic sovereignty. Fellow Zimbabweans, because the Constitution is not merely a domestic political instrument but the foundation of our democratic order, the DCP has taken steps to raise these concerns through responsible and lawful international engagement. In the spirit of preventative diplomacy, we have communicated with the United Nations, the African Union, the Southern African Development Community. Our intention is not to internationalize domestic politics. Rather, it is to ensure that Zimbabwe's constitutional process remains consistent with the democratic commitments that our country has voluntarily subscribed to. Across the continent, there is growing recognition that constitutional manipulation designed to extend incumbency without the consent of the people constitutes a form of unconstitutional change of government. Zimbabwe must avoid that path. The most legitimate solution remains simple: return the question to the people through a referendum. Government argues that constitutional amendments are necessary for stability and continuity. Zimbabweans are asking a simple question: continuity of what? Continuity of economic hardship? Continuity of collapsing public services? Continuity of corruption and state capture? Students face rising fees and deteriorating conditions at university. Workers struggle with wages that cannot sustain their families. Informal traders face harassment and shrinking economic space. Artisanal miners face dangerous working conditions. Residents across towns and villages face collapsing local authority services. For these Zimbabweans, an extension of political terms is not stability. It is the continuation of hardship. The Constitution was never meant to protect the comfort of those in power. It was meant to protect the dignity and welfare of the people. It is, however, heartening, fellow Zimbabweans, that across Zimbabwe a broad consensus is emerging. Churches, students, young people, war veterans, civic organizations, and opposition political actors have all converged around one principle: the Constitution belongs to the people.